Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated from the Fans First Sports Network. I'm Tom Cavanaugh. You can follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X and follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI. Today we're going to be recapping both men's and women's basketball. It was a jam-packed Sunday afternoon, just an hour or 2 hours apart separating these two contests. The women got it done by 11 points, taking down the Washington Huskies, and the men picking up their very first ranked win of the season, upsetting number 12 Oregon at their own place, 73-71 with a insane near buzzer beater from junior guard Dylan Andrews. We'll start with the men just because, what a finish to that game. It was incredible. The Bruins did, honestly, everything they could to choke that game away in the last 2-3 minutes. They were up 9 with 3 to go. Could not execute, could not get to the basket and finish a shot. Turnover after turnover. Block shot on Bilodeau late. A big dagger three-pointer from Oregon. They made a few shots down the stretch to take a 1-point lead. With 10 seconds to play, Oregon was up 71-70. Now, a few minutes earlier, it was 70-62. 9-0 run from the Ducks brought them back up by 1. Now it was do or die time for the Bruins. Backs against the wall on the road in their second Big Ten game. They were 1-0 in conference, had won 6 in a row to get to 7-1 on the season. Head coach Mick Cronin called a timeout with 10 to go. They drew something up, but it was all on Dylan Andrews. The kid comes out of the timeout, dribbles the ball, immediately slips and falls, continues his dribble, somehow keeps his dribble, moves over towards the near left side wing, dribbles, step back on the 7-foot senior center, Nate Biddle, who's got the biggest wingspan on the floor, no doubt about it. Huge step back shot from Dylan Andrews, fadeaway, off the glass and in. Bank is open on a Sunday, 73-71. The Bruins go home with the win, just shocking the Ducks. Because Oregon, as much as the Bruins turned it over and could not execute down the stretch, Oregon made all their shots. Jackson Shelstad, the sophomore that we talked about earlier in the week, he hit a dagger three-pointer to put their team up by 1 point, as we said, with 10 seconds to go. And it was just Andrews' time. He finished with 10 points, a sensational fadeaway shot. There was 0.4 seconds left on the clock after Andrews hit the shot. So the Ducks heaved it in, tried to get it down low. Tyler Bilodeau was there to swat it away, and the game was over. Bruins improved to 2-0 in conference. They will likely now be ranked once again. They were 22 to open the year, lost to New Mexico, lost that ranking, and they've been trying to build it back up ever since. They just won their 7th game in a row, and they're looking like a top team in the Big Ten after going into a hostile environment in Oregon and coming out with a win. You break down some individual stats. The leader was sophomore guard/forward Eric Daly Jr. He played 23 minutes, had 19 points to lead the Bruins scorers. 7 of 8 from the field. He was 3 of 4 from downtown. The Bruins didn't shoot many free throws. When you look at Daly, he was 2 of 3 from the line. They shot 7 free throws total, did the Bruins. Not a lot of free throws. Sebastian Mack's usually the guy that gets to the line, and he didn't go once in 25 minutes. Other than Daly Jr.'s 19, we mentioned Andrews having 10 with a couple of threes, including the big one. Kobe Johnson, he had 11 points with 5 rebounds, chipped in nicely. Off the bench, Sebastian Mack, he was 5 of 13 shooting, took a ton of shots. As we've talked about in past games, he gets to the line 10 or more times. He's done it a couple times now this year. He didn't shoot 1 free throw. Now, that's also because the Ducks were a very good team of not fouling. When you look at their numbers, they only put together 11 personal fouls. Just one guy for the Ducks had 3 fouls, everybody with 2 or less. So UCLA either did not push the envelope and try to become fouled, getting to the rim through contact, or the Ducks were just really good at not committing those fouls. Other stats, other guys chipping in with points. Lazar Stefanovic, he was 2 of 4 from deep, finished with 8 points and a couple of free throws. Tyler Bilodeau, not his best game. He was 3 of 11 from the field for 7 total points, but he did bring down 4 rebounds. And then we mentioned Kobe Johnson as well. Sky Clark, he had just 4 points as the 5th starter in 28 minutes, 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, and he had 3 boards as well. When you look at the offensive rebounds, which is something the Bruins have been struggling with, they pulled down 6 and they allowed 9 offensive boards to the Ducks. And shooting wise, 45%, pretty solid. for the Bruins. They were 28-62. They were 12-23 from three-point land, including the big one to win the ball game. 52% from three-point range is no joke, and they executed perfectly. Every single one of the starting 5 players for UCLA hit at least one three-pointer. As we mentioned, did not go to the free throw line much, just 5 of 7. Got to get there more. The Ducks actually shot double the amount of free throws. They were 10 of 14 from the line. They were 26 of 55, good enough for 47% from the field, and 9 of 21, just under 43% from three-point land. They had a guy, we talked about Jackson Shellstad, 3 of 4 from downtown. Nate Biddle, the big man, he was 2 of 3 from deep. So, I mean, looking like Brooke Lopez out there knocking down three-pointers. He went to the line 5 times and knocked down 4 shots. Biddle led all scorers with 22 points. He's been the best player all year for Oregon, and he had 10 rebounds as well. So it was very tough for the Bruins to control him, but they did a nice job of kind of silencing other players. Raheem Moss and TJ Bamba, 2 starters that came out, 0 points apiece. So you hold a couple of the starting guys in 23 total minutes combined between the two to 0 points, you got a good chance at a win. And even though they did kind of crumble down the stretch when it came to late game, protecting possessions, free throws, etc., the Ducks, who have the experience and are ranked 12th, they're the ones that showed the talent and the experience there. But it was the late shot from Dylan Andrews that got it done. A miracle win right there for the Bruins that had been winning for a good majority of the game. They were actually just down by 1 point at halftime as the Ducks knocked one in before half. And UCLA just really showing their ability to come out in a hostile environment and get it done in Big Ten play. Now, these are 2 teams that are very familiar with each other because they transferred over from the Pac-12 conference this year or this past year. But still, it's a different element in Big Ten play. And Oregon, I mean, come on. Let's talk about the football team. They're number 1 in the top 25 the top 12 college football playoff. And I think a little bit of that juice carried over into the basketball game today. The Bruins silenced that quickly. We'll move on over to the women's, but one final thought. Bruins are 8-1. They're 2-0 in conference now. This is on the men's side. And they'll likely have a number next to their name, whether it's 25, 24, 22, something like that. I'd say it's the mid to low 20s after getting a very impressive win and giving Oregon their first loss, putting them at 9-1 and 1-1 in the Big Ten. Now for the women, 73-62, the number 1 team in the nation gets it done, handling an opponent that they were much better than. Washington falls to 7-3. This was both of the team's first Big Ten game. And the Bruins they've been on the road. They were just in Hawaii, took care of the Rainbow Warriors. And now they're starting on the road in Big Ten play, Corey Close's group. And they get it done, 35 points in the first half. They kind of followed it up with a little bit more in the second, last 2 quarters, I should say. And when you look at the stats individually, it was once again Lauren Betts who came out in a big way. 23 points, led all scorers. She was 10 of 16 from the field. She only had 3 rebounds, though, which is very surprising. Gabriela Jaquez was the leading rebounder. You never see Betts with 2-3 rebounds. Tamia Gardner, she had 5 boards as well. Kiki Rice with 4. When it comes to rebounding, the Huskies actually out-rebounded the Bruins, which rarely ever happens. But when you shoot 54% from the field, you're likely going to win the ball game. The Huskies were just 40% from field goal range, and 32 of 59 for 54.2% for the Bruins really helped them out. Kiki Rice was huge as well. She had 18 points, 8 of 13 shooting. Gabriela Jaquez, we mentioned her 7 rebounds. She also had 5 assists and 11 points. She's continuing to play extremely well as a junior guard. So is Kiki Rice, a third-year guard as well. And then Betts, she's that junior center that is just dominating college basketball right now. And she's going to be up for College Player of the Year. I guarantee it, because even though she had a low rebound total, she's averaging upwards of 15, 16 points. And this is her 3rd game with 20 or more. When you look at the Huskies, they did have 4 different scorers in double digits. Delia Daniels, Savia Sellers, who we mentioned, was very sharp from downtown. Elle Ladine, who the best player is for Washington, she was their high scorer with 19. And then Hannah Steins had a dozen as well. So they had some effective ball players on that team. It was just the hot shooting from the Bruins. And another stat, 10 more 3-pointers were taken from the Huskies than the Bruins. UCLA was just 4 of 12 from downtown, but they realized quickly that they had the size advantage. They took a lot of mid-range and shots inside and the paint. Huskies, they were trying to hoist from deep. They were 8 of 22 from downtown. The Bruins also allowed 13 offensive rebounds, a number that head coach Corey Close is going to want to bring down, just like the men's team, struggling to give up offensive boards and second chance points. Something that definitely the Bruins should be winning in that stat every. But they did force 14 turnovers. That was a big stat right there. 14 turnovers is massive, and then also only 7 assists on 23 made shots for the Huskies. So what that always tells you when you look at assists to field goals made is the ball distribution and the rotation. The Bruins were doing a very good job of making the Huskies go one-on-one with them for a majority of the contest. It wasn't a lot of ball facilitating and getting that extra one pass to allow a bucket. It was a lot of one-on-one action. Girls were taking them. It was just individual kind of scoring for Washington. And then you look over at the other side, 15 assists on 32 made shots for UCLA. So overall, a great win. They got it done. Bruins improved to 9-0 on the season, keeping that number 1 overall ranking. They're going to stay there. And it's going to be Long Beach State on the road next for the Bruins. They're going to look to take on a 5-3 Long Beach State squad. And they'll have a good 6-day break. They'll be back next Saturday in Long Beach, just a little bit south of Los Angeles. This has been the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh. We will see you next time, everybody. Thanks so much.